Hello, everybody. Welcome to our business boot camp basics training. This is an exciting week. My name is Carla Italiano. I'm sitting in for Hilari and Rita, and I am just so fired up for our guest tonight is the amazing Kelley Dickerhoof. If you've been in Isagenix for any amount of time at all, she is a familiar face and a familiar name. She and her husband, Tyler, have an outstanding business, and their leadership is exceptional. I mean, it was funny. Right before this call, I was asking her what her rank was, and she didn't even know, which I love because it's not about the rank, she says. It's about helping people and doing the business. And that is so evident in how she builds just the number of amazing leaders that she has in her team. Now, I know personally from cruising the Mediterranean on the President's Quest with one of her leaders, Laura Stevens, that, Laura credits Kelley so much for setting up her for success and casting the vision for her. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Kelley is here to talk with us about how she casts the vision for her team, how she recognizes her team, how she lifts them up in leadership. And all these skills are things that we can definitely benefit from. I know Kelley is somebody that I've admired and followed and learned from afar. So it's a treat to get to chat with you here tonight, Kelley. Her rank is, we did figure it out, it's a 12-star platinum, 13-star crystal executive. She has a huge heart to serve. So get your pen and paper ready because she is going to share with us about her business, how she grows with her family. She has 3 beautiful kids. They're in Spokane, Washington, beautiful area of the country that I'm excited to go to UIA. I'll see many of you there. And you guys, what a treat to see Kelley tonight. So Kelley, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on our team call here tonight.
Well, thanks, you guys. I'm so honored to be on the call tonight, and hopefully I can just bring you guys, just even if you take one thing away today from what it is that we have for you, I'm just honored. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come and listen to this. And I just think it's really cool, this whole back to basics boot camp of what you're doing, because it's so true, you guys. In this business, I've done it for 7.5 years now, and the basics are what works. And sometimes you'll get distracted looking left and right and thinking like, oh, that leader's doing that and that leader's doing that. But what I can tell you, the leaders that are growing are continuously doing the basics. And that's what you guys have really that's what you're doing here. And I love it so much. And I'm excited to be a part of it. I know you guys have heard from some amazing leaders already, and I'm just honored to be here with you, Carla. And I'm excited to just dive right in.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So let's dive right in. So we're talking about the basics, and we always want to continue enrolling people. So as we always have these new people coming to our organization, what do you do to set them up for success? How do you help cast the vision for them in some of those initial conversations?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is really know who your audience is. Like really dive in to see. And after doing this for 7.5 years, you can really kind of tell who's going to take off and who's going to maybe build slow. And I think it's important to empower them wherever they are sitting. And so sometimes we get so excited and we'll see this potential in a person and we'll just almost like diarrhea a vision on them, but it has nothing to do with their vision. So you guys have to be a master in asking questions and really finding out what they want. For me, I'm so grateful when I first joined this business. For those of you guys that don't know my story, I'm not going to go too far into it, but I was found on an airplane by a wonderful lady, and she told me about a cleanse, and that's really what started my Isagenix journey. And had that lady sat next to me on the airplane and started painting this vision of, oh, you're going to be an Isagenix millionaire within 3 years. Oh, I'm going to show you how to make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in that first month or 2 or a year. It would have been overwhelming for me. I was a girl who wanted to make an extra $500 a month. And I think most people, like, that's probably where a lot of people's goals are. There are people who are like, no, right now I got to replace an income, but they're few and far between. After doing this for a long time, it would really make somebody super happy just to make an extra $500 a month. So we used a formula on our team in painting that vision and setting them up for those small goals. So the first thing is you guys just ask a ton of questions, really figure out what they want. And it's okay to stretch those goals. If someone says they just want to get their products paid for, it's okay to say things and whisper life into them like, you know what, I'm going to show you how to get those products paid for, and show them that you share, they share, repeat. But then just say, and this is where I think everybody's business would take a massive shift if we were just speaking just a little bit more life and potential and vision into people, helping them see blind spots. So whatever it is that you see in that person, start speaking that into them. So I'm not going to jump like, and say, oh, but really you can make $10,000 a month. I would just say something like, you know what? You remind me a lot of myself when I first started building this business 7.5 years ago. And that's all I wanted to do too. I just wanted to get my products paid for. But what if there's something in you that we can unlock? What if your potential to be a little bit more than that? What would an extra $1,000 feel like to you? And that's when we start unlocking those dreams. And that's what I've really noticed is, the people that join our business, they've just stopped dreaming. A lot of the world has just stopped dreaming. Personal development isn't really even talked about outside the world of network marketing or, these self-development programs. So just starting to unlock those keys and getting their soul stirring a little bit is where we really just begin it. And it just starts small. And then from there, you have that potential to grow. So it's through, Carla, in answer to your question, asking just a lot of questions and figuring out what their needs are and what that actually looks like.
I love that so much, that you can meet them, but also that little bit of a nudge. And I love that word, like, what would it feel like to have more, so that you're starting to cast the vision? That's awesome. What about for new people who are just consultants and they're right there? How do you suggest, or how do you cast a vision for them to potentially move up to manager, director, higher?
I love the rank advancements and the bonuses of manager and director and executive, but we really talk to people seriously. And we just say, you know what, if this is a business that you want to be serious about, you want to make real money, executives where it's at. And so we skip the manager and director. There's not a whole lot of conversation about it. It's either you're going to be a consultant and you're going to cycle and make some side money, or you're going to be an executive and you're going to go all the way to the top. And we don't have that middle ground. So immediately we have them print out the map to crystal executive, and we start dreaming with them and start plugging in who they know, who do you know, and that's what we do. So we show them the you share, they share, the manager, and we say, okay, now you're going to do that 5 times, if not 10 times over. We set that bar just a little bit higher for each individual person. So it's really just that conversation like we had earlier. Consultant, which is a great thing. I mean, I think sometimes we knock that the fact that you can be a consultant and make $750,000 a year in this company, you can do some powerful things with consultants. So if executive's not where you're at that time in your life, that's okay. Do your consultants and be okay with that. Like, I feel like sometimes we put this pressure on people, and it's not their time. Their time maybe is to be a consultant and make some good money. And then there are people who it's like, yes, executives where it's at, and then we run them straight to that. So I think, again, it's a lot of questions, and then being okay and not, I think, it's kind of talking about recognition with our team members. Like, if somebody is just a consultant, and I don't like that term just, because we're going to celebrate them as a consultant. That's a wonderful thing. And so not make them feel like they're a failure because they're not an executive, but because they've chosen consultant and that's what they're going to do. And then we work with them in that consultant status. Then if someone chooses executive, it's not just an executive, they're an executive when we run them there, and we celebrate them there. And so everybody can find their place and feel empowered with their decision that they make.
That's an awesome answer. And I love that you also brought up recognition, because we're going to head there next. But first, stopping on executive, is there a way that you help people to maintain executive once they achieve it and not just get overwhelmed with the initial hype? Because when I first did executive, I didn't know there was a thing about falling off or staying or anything. I just heard some leaders talking about what it took to maintain it. I thought, oh, well, it's important. And then I started getting calls from the company about like bonuses and realizing there was actually a good reason to stay paid as executive and beyond. So how do you create that culture in your team?
we have everybody run to 15 to 17 consultants. So 10 is great, but it's like oh, congratulations, but we don't really celebrate it and get super excited until there's more like 15 to 17 consultants, because you guys, it's going to happen. People are going to fall off, and exactly what Carla says, it pays to be paid as executive. There's so many bonuses. I'm sure that's how you won President's Quest. I'm sure that's, how you get into the leadership pools. And, we can add up just the leadership pool money that Tyler and I have made for staying paid as executive, or just your executive bonuses, the team matches. There's so much extra money that people miss out on. So it's just blinders on. 15 to 17 consultants is where it's at. And so don't get caught up in that, the director ditch or the executive ditch, and just keep on pushing and then celebrate there at that 15 to 17. We feel like that's a number. I mean, always pushing for more, but that's a really good number where you feel that safety net of, if people do fall off or something gets returned, you're not in that stressed out mode.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. So back to recognition. What are some of the things that you do to recognize your team?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the hardest things about leadership once you come to this place, because you're kind of like, oh my gosh, how do I recognize all these people? And I think it's really important to know your team, know how they love to be recognized, like what is important to them. We use color code tests, which I think a lot of you guys know, colorcode.com, and we have it's a free test. Have your team fill that out so you know what color they are, and then the love language test. So both of those tests, we have all of our leaders, as soon as they raise their hand and say, I'm in, I really want to do this, we have them fill out the new associate interview, the color code test, and the love language test. Those are the three non-negotiables. And it kind of shows you how much people are willing to actually do, because they're easy, simple, free things to do. And when they get that back to you, you'll really be able to gauge whether or not they're gonna be a builder. But that love language test is so wonderful because, I used to my love language test, I love quality time, I love gifts, I love words of affirmation. So those are all of them. So you normally give what it is that you receive or what you love to get. And, one time I remember I was sending this girl gifts, recognizing her for rank advancements, and I hadn't had her fill it out. And she filled it out and it came back to me and I was like, oh my gosh, quality time. I should have been taking her to go get pedicures, or we should have had a fun, fancy dinner with her and her husband for hitting executive and things like that. So really knowing your team and how it is that they want to be recognized, and then correlating that accordingly. A lot of people, I think, because words are so powerful and they're not used as much as they should be anymore, a lot of people love words of affirmation. That's why that public recognition is so important to them. So utilizing social media as a platform for that, not only does it make them feel really good about what they're doing, but their network can watch. And so that public just recognition, and it could be anything, you guys. You can make a beautiful picture and just say, welcome to the team. And that's recognizing a person for buying a pack and joining your team. But it makes their audience think she joined a team. Okay, what does that look like? And when you're using the pretty graphics and you're making it engaging, and you give the audience that FOMO of, ooh, I want to be a part of that. So public recognition like that. We love just sending out gifts. When we've done different things, that we always try to use 10% of our income to pour back into the business. And that's how we figured out where we could recognize. So in the beginning, when I was making $500 a month, I had $50 that I could use to recognize the team. So that may be going to an event and buying everybody appetizers and taking pictures and recognizing them that way, running a contest. And, once we started making a little bit more money, as soon as people turned into executives, we buy them a fun little purse or a little Lululemon bag. And we used to call it the Peacock Club, because peacocks are rare and beautiful animals. And so we say, welcome to the Peacock Club. You've made it. And that branding and that ideation that people are seeing on social media create that FOMO, that fear of missing out and wanting to be a part of something. And then as our income grew, we were able to make those gifts and trips more kind of extravagant and fun. But our team knows that it all kind of goes out on social media so people can see what it is that they're doing and how they're growing. We've really just copied everything that Isagenix does, we copy. Isagenix does a rewards trip, we do a rewards trip. Isagenix does, a trophy for something for hitting Crystal Executive, we do a trophy for hitting Crystal Executive. So it's all those little extra attention to details, but that's all we've ever done is just copied whatever Isagenix kind of is doing and then maybe step it up a little level.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Speaking of social media recognition, do you have any tips or do's and don'ts, ways that we can make a post most effective?
Yeah. Social media, the algorithms are always changing. So it isn't the easiest thing to do anymore. Definitely on Facebook. So it depending on first thing I would do is make sure that your person who you're recognizing is comfortable with what you're going to put out there and just say, I would love to recognize you, but asking that permission, because there has been times when someone's had a rank and I recognize them, they're like, oh my gosh, like, no, I don't want that. I'm not ready for that. So asking that permission and really creating a safe space for them. But you want to keep just like with any social media posting, you want to keep that branding on trend and you want it to match what it is that you're doing. So what attracts you? I mean, I love whites and I love blacks and I love really clean, crisp recognition. So I try to match that when I am recognizing people. People's eyes are going to first advertently look at the picture. So your picture, you guys, you want it to be top notch. You don't want it to be all like dark with like weird, like bright colors, unless that's your brand. If that's your brand, then you go with that. But what I have found is something aesthetically pleasing to the eye is really what the audience wants to see. You don't want to over tag people because over tag gets you hidden amongst the comments. I've seen a lot of power with just taking that post and not necessarily posting it to my page, but just going and putting it directly on their wall, and then let your leaders know that it's there so that there's a multitude of commenting and likes on that photo. And then that person's audience will really be able to see it. Make sure whoever you are posting that to has a public profile, because you may be doing all that work and they may not have known to change their settings yet, and it's private and nobody sees that post. They're like, oh, I only got 3 likes on it. And that's because none of their friends were able to see it. So that's a really important thing when you're asking for permission. Make sure that they have that public settings on there. And just make it fun. I think one of the things that I've really seen Isagenix stop doing as much is really talking about the money and talking about the business opportunity. And you guys, we have such a fabulous opportunity here at hand. It needs to be talked about. The companies that are growing out there, the people that are attracted, I talk to a lot of people who are like, why did you join me? Like, what attracted you to me? And it usually is because I've talked about the money or I've talked about somebody's recognition and they've seen that and they think, well, if that girl can do this, then I can probably do that. So it creates that relatability. And so make sure that you're putting in there. You do want to make sure that we're protecting our company at all times, putting the income disclosure at the very bottom, just with a little asterisk, so that people, so that we're not getting in trouble with compliance, but, and utilizing the stories, you guys. So many people are watching the stories that maybe aren't seeing your posts. And so make sure in both Facebook and Instagram stories, you're putting that recognition piece there as well. And then especially like on Instagram, you can tag them in that, and then they can share it to their story. And it just makes people feel special in that way. To answer your question, I just keep on going. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I told you beforehand, I could listen to you for hours and I'm writing down everything with pages of notes. But I'm curious if you have any favorite apps that you use to make your aesthetically pleasing posts that you'd be willing to share.
Yes, so I use Rana Designs. There's a fun app right now on Instagram called Unfold. And I don't know if you guys have noticed like people's Instagram stories, but they have like the white bordering and you can kind of tell a story through it. So that's called Unfold. That's a really pretty one and a great one. If you guys follow like Audrey and James McLeod, they've been using it a lot. So that's that app that I'm talking about. And then Canva. So Canva is like for anybody who really has no design skills whatsoever. It will absolutely make beautiful, beautiful. I have no design skills. Like I'm great at copying, but it's not natural to me. So it's very helpful to me to just have those apps. So Canva, Rana Designs, you have to have a little bit more, like creativity. And then that Unfold really makes for beautiful stories.
Awesome. Thanks for those tips. And with your recognition, especially now that you have so many leaders rising up, how do you manage when you recognize and when you don't? Is there a certain level that you expect your team to start to do their own recognition for your team and their own incentives, or do you continue to do recognition all the way down?
Yeah. Incentives is a little different question than recognition. I think they should begin recognizing instantly, like right away. I mean, I don't care. As soon as you enroll one person, you guys, you got to understand, they see you as a leader. They see you as the expert in this area. So as soon as you can step into that power of leadership and start practicing that leadership on a small scale or a large scale, it'll empower you. So we are all about empowerment. So we empower our leaders instantly to be doing recognition and to be talking, because that's a really easy way, especially when you're able to like just shout out other people. It's a really easy way to say that I'm doing this business and I'm serious about it, and your audience is like, oh my gosh, they are serious. Like they already have a team member, they already have a consultant, they've reached the first level of leadership, the second level of leadership. That's great verbiage also, you guys. So I think so often we think like people know what manager and director and executive is, and they have absolutely no clue. So when someone goes consultant, instead of calling them a consultant, saying, congratulations, Carly, you have reached the first level of leadership, or congratulations, Carrie, you have reached the second level of leadership. And then with our executives, we say, congratulations, you have reached the highest level of leadership. When people see that, that catches their attention a lot more than congratulations, you're an executive. That doesn't, cool, what's an executive? You know, nobody knows what that means. So by saying the first, second, and highest, that can be some really powerful verbiage for you guys. As far as incentives go, we really try to talk about how we always use that 10%. And so pouring that 10% back into your business. So the expectation is, pretty close on. And the ones that I see that step right in and do the incentives right away and kind of just take their team and run with it are the ones that literally go straight to the top. So that's a choice on your own. There's not a rule. I think right about 2-star is when I think you can get to 2-star on you. And that's why we started our 2-star retreat. We have a retreat that we do. It's called Earn Your Wings. I know that, Hilari has put on a retreat. And I think, is her qualifications 2-star as well? Or maybe that's shifted. Yeah. Because what we found is you can get to 2-star pretty much on your own. You can just enroll a ton of people and you can hit that 2-star status. But if you want to reach beyond 2-star, you better be reaching down and helping your team and helping them create consultants and all of that. So 2-star is a magical place where we feel like you can kind of cut the cord. It is the place where you probably have enough team members where you can start your own business group, maybe via Facebook, and start recognizing and pouring that belief into them. But the faster you do this, the faster I have seen leaders grow. But you got to make sure you're not just doing it as a hobby, because there's a lot of work attached from that 2-star plus, and you're actually going in and doing all that. And it's not something where, you're going to try for 6 months and if everything's not going all hunky-dory, you're just going to quit. It's something where if you're making that decision, you're making the decision for the next 5 years, whether people are with me or not, whether people come or go or not, whether I feel like getting up or not, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be committed to that, because that's what it takes, you guys. As a doing this for 7.5 years as a 12-star or 13-star, I can't remember what we said I was, there's still days that sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to quit. It's like life of an entrepreneur. One day you're like, I think I'm Oprah Winfrey. And the next day, you're like, I can't get out of bed. Like I hate my life, like there are still ups and downs. It still feels that way. So if you are feeling that, trust me, the higher you get, it doesn't go away. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to have the grit to stay with it or whether or not you're going to quit. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is if you're going to make that commitment to pour into your team and run those incentives and do that, you better not look left or right. Your blinders are on, and that's where you're going for the next 5-10 years with what you're doing. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did brilliantly. And thank you for your authenticity in that too. And I know that's a topic many are interested in, because we had that 2-star retreat with Hilari just recently. And that question came up a lot about, incentives and recognition, and at what level do you do it? And what if I have leaders on my team? And I love how you pointed out, it's really up to them. And it's an encouragement for everyone to grab it from the beginning and just run with their team. And I can definitely see where that is a reflection of their ongoing success. Let's switch gears a little bit from recognition into building community, which is smaller. What are some ways that you have built that sense of community within your team?
Yeah. You know what? It's been It's been a journey. It's been a real journey because community has changed so much. When I first started, it was so easy to do the community piece because everybody was on Facebook and everybody was this new phenomenon. So we were all kind of like looking to Facebook for that. And it's changed. Like the algorithms are changed. People aren't engaging in the Facebook groups and we're not seeing it so much anymore. So this is a learning curve that I'm actually going through right now. It's really important to stay tied into your leaders. And I know Kathy Cooper says, make sure that you're working really strongly with 5 leaders. And then finding that duplication process. So find maybe those 5-10 leaders that you can build that community with, and then put the expectation that they are duplicating that as well. We try to keep a 2-star and above group going, so that thread's always going within a Facebook group. And then, because when the teams get huge, it gets virtually impossible. I think, do you want me to throw out some ideas like what we do? Like we do team dinners. We try to do the retreat once a year. I'm still at every single event, you guys, everyone that I can get to. And that has always been a non-negotiable, and throwing small events along the way too, finding things that you really love to do and finding excuses to get the team together. And that doesn't mean it's always talking about Isagenix. Like it doesn't have to be that way. It can just be fun. Right now we're going on this tour and creating the community of dreaming again. Me and Laura Stevens are doing that. And it's been so much fun. So just find what your team loves and be willing to serve them in that area. Again, if this is something you are very serious about doing and you really want to build this business, I can tell you what it takes, you guys. It takes going to your team and seeing your team and pouring into them and seeing what it is and how they want you to show up and what that looks like. For me, I'm a little bit more on the introverted side, and I am just fine sitting on someone's living room. But a lot of my teammates seem to be like yellows and they want to go out. So guess what? I got to go out and I got to have the champagne with them and do all the fun things. And so just creating that culture and seeing what your team's needs are and then showing up as a leader and being that for them. What I've recognized, they say that the 2 things that people are most scared of in the world are public speaking and death. And what I've really, 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 really found, especially within the space of Isagenix and network marketing, is their biggest fear is really abandonment and rejection. So however you can create a community and make people feel included and involved and known, and that you hear them and you see them, that is community. And so that could be a phone call, that could be a text, that can be a group message, that can be a Facebook group, whatever that is. But people join because of you and what it is that how you can and serve them. They join because of the products, but they stay because of you, and they stay because of the community. So really pouring into that community. But like, if you don't enjoy something and it's really that terrible, people are going to be able to read that and feel that. So make sure that it's authentic to who you are and what that looks like. And don't feel like you have to do it all. Like find your yellows that can put on a party, and find a blue that wants to do, the intimate things. And then find the red who just wants to just work, and find that space and really, at first it's going to be you and you're going to be creating it. You're going to start it, but then that'll get duplicated. Whatever it is that you do, they will get passed on and they will do that as well. So, but community is a huge piece and it's important.
Thank you. I love how you do that in person and also on Facebook. And back to that where you mentioned that everyone used to be on Facebook and it's not so much that anymore. So people are moving to Instagram only or LinkedIn only. From more of a technical logistics standpoint, do you have any tips for how you create online community when people are separated on all these different social media channels?
It's hard. This is a great step is Zooms, just because we can kind of get that connectiveness again. I think it's important to have everybody's emails, at least once they hit consultants in your downline, have those emails so that you can send out group messages and things like that. I think people are still checking Instagram Messenger. So I think that that's a good avenue to start group messages in there, because people are still kind of checking that. You can tag people, it'll alert them. But a lot of people have moved over to, Instagram. So like we used to do all of our challenges on Facebook and the community groups that, the weight loss challenges and things like that. We do all virtually over on Instagram now, but it's working. People are there and they're seeing it and they're feeling a part of the group and they're tagging and they're doing all that fun stuff. So it's always innovative. You always have to be innovating and seeing what's on trend and what people are doing. So as far as LinkedIn, I'm not a pro when it comes to LinkedIn. I probably should be great at that. I know Bridget Bartley, she's like a master at that. So if anybody wants more information on that, that's your girl for
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
No,
yeah. But just being open and being willing to be always learning, like that's a part of this business. I'm not always just doing Isagenix. I'm doing Isagenix. And then I have literally podcasts in my ears of finding out like how to get the algorithms up, how to do this, how to do that, like always learning and always growing and always having a podcast in your ear. It's important.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. I do the same thing, and it's refreshing to hear that at any level of leadership, that's what you're doing. I have a question, actually. You brought up your Shine Your Light tour that you're doing currently with Laura across the country. And I know it was inspired, as I heard you share before, from your initial build when you were traveling and getting in the living rooms of your team. And now we see you all as millionaires and putting on these huge events. But I'm curious, in the beginning and during your initial build, when you were doing a similar tour, could you share with us what your tour looked like at that time?
Yeah. And it literally looked just like that. So when I first started, I shared this at David Wood's last event. And I remember someone who said, it may have been Hilari Courtney, honestly, now that I think about it. But anyway, somebody said, make sure you know the carpet colors of all your biggest builders. And I took that literally. I realize now what they were saying was get to know people intimately, get to know their heart, get to know their dreams, get to know their vision, get to know like what makes their heart beat. But I took it literally. I thought I was supposed to get to know their living room floor colors. And so I said, Tyler, I'm going out and I want to know their carpet colors. I want to know their kids' names. I want to know, I want to know these women and I just want to speak life into them. So that's what it looked like. It was all about the Lululemon pants, because that was when Lulu just first started. We're like, wear your yoga pants and we're going to sit on the floor. And we printed out crystal executive maps. And we sat there and we game planned and we talked and it was casual. And I remember not one of the first events, but on that tour, I was like, we don't need to eat. Like the food is not important. Like we're just going to like sit down, we can drink our coffee and we got to get to work. I was so laser focused, but one of the events was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they're like, oh no, honey, nobody will show up unless you feed them. And so I was like, oh really? Like, gosh, I'm a California girl. Like we go days without eating, like this before Isagenix, but, and they're like, oh no, we have to have like a full spread. So I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, that's really what it was sitting on the floor, being comfortable, kids going everywhere, this and that, and just showing mommies that this could be done, however they wanted it to look. But it was just, it was a lot of vision casting. It was a lot of dreaming. It's very similar. So if you come to one of our Shine Your Light tours now, that's how I open it up. And I just say, I want tonight to feel like I'm sitting on your living room floor with you, that I'm looking you in the eyes and that we are dreaming together. And that we're going to unlock tonight some of the things that have been buried for years, that you didn't maybe even know they were there, that you've been so blinded by life, because it's okay. Everybody has life and there's so many things going on, but what can we do to unlock those? And then I have those full notes. So sitting down in the living room was one thing, but it was when I could go back to those new associate interviews or go back to those dreams that they had. And when they want to quit and I say, do you remember this? Do you remember what you wrote? Do you remember what you told me? And then that just re-triggers their why and what they're actually anchored to, or what their desire is for their family. So that's really what it was. It was just them feeling a part of something. It was creating that community. It was selfishly me just getting to know these women so I knew how to serve them.
That's brilliant. I love that. And that just shows your heart so much. So thanks for that inspiration. I'd like to ask one more question in regards to the network marketing profession, but if you're open, if anyone has any questions, if they want to write it in the chat box, if you'd be open to maybe taking some questions from people. Kelley, go ahead and start typing those in, and we'd love to take some of those. But I know that your perspective on network marketing as a profession has transformed as your business has, and have you had, as for most of us, it has. And I love your posture. And I feel like our posture about network marketing, it counts so much right now because it is such a strong solution for people. And for those who may have a different perspective than what it actually is, it's even more important for us to have that belief and posture. And as we've seen the company talk more about the business and talk more about the financial opportunity, it's extra important for us to take that posture. Would you mind be open about what your perspective is, how you see it, and how you would perhaps advise somebody who's wavering in their belief?
Yeah. So your goal on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 10 in belief in network marketing and in this company and in you and in these products. Like that's one of the things we talk about on the Shine Tour is just getting your belief to a 10. And when I first started network marketing, you guys, I was a little embarrassed. I was ashamed. I don't even know why. I was just like, oh gosh, it's one of those things. And I realized my posture of that was creating that culture to be fed. So whatever it is you are, whatever you feed, it becomes, right? And I don't remember exactly when the shift was, but I realized I needed to take my belief from like a 4 in network marketing to a full 10. So, Eric Worre's Go Pro, that book was a huge shift to begin that for me. So that's like a non-negotiable book. Like you can read it one night. I hope everybody on this call has read it. If not, like it's a to-do list. I'm not saying join all his programs. I'm saying that book was really powerful for me and will be powerful for you. But if we could all take on that posture, we could all just stand up a little bit taller and attach your why to why it is that you're doing this, you guys. Network marketing makes sense. I've been in the referral-based business for years. I was a hairdresser before I did Isagenix, and my husband was a dairy cow nutritionist, and both of our businesses thrived upon referrals. So it only makes sense that that's the way of the world. Everything's moving with referrals. Like we see it with Instagram influencers, right? It's all about referral-based marketing and whether or not, so you can either jump on the boat and get paid for referring, or you can miss the boat. And that's basically what it is. And why wouldn't you set yourself up in a vehicle of not just network marketing? Because I'm not sure, I think I would do network marketing if it wasn't for Isagenix. I don't know, because Isagenix is all I know. I know that Kathy and Jim and Eric, their heart beats for you guys every night. I know that there's a corporate team who doesn't sleep to make sure that you guys are taken care of and paid and happy, and that your products are top notch. Like the fact that you can look anybody in the eye and tell them to just, all you have to do is tell them to put a shake in their mouth and it's going to change their life. Like it makes it so simple. Like it's so easy to get passionate behind these products. And so in regards to network marketing, again, I'll be honest, like I don't know if I would do it if it wasn't for Isagenix. Maybe if I found a company I could be totally aligned with, but honestly, that's why I never did it before, because I barely wash my face. I'm not good at it, like I wouldn't sell jewelry. I wouldn't, I don't want to have home parties every night, but Isagenix is a vehicle that just, it's so simple. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. You guys, I said it earlier, like it can be difficult, but you have to believe in yourself and you have to believe that you are in the right place. And so what is it that's holding you on a scale of 1 to 10 from being a full 10? And sometimes it may be just like not thinking about it, but really saying it like, oh my gosh, this is why this is an incredible opportunity, but having it be authentic to you. So those are my whys that grew my belief. But what is holding you back? Is it the fact that you don't necessarily believe in the products because you're not really taking them because maybe you did them and then you kind of slacked off? Is it because you you've lost belief in yourself because nobody's signing up with you right now. Guess what? We all go through those seasons, you guys. We all go through seasons of like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if anybody ever wants to enroll with me again. Like, I wish everybody knew it doesn't get easier like the higher you get. We all feel the same rejection. We feel the same pain. We feel the same, all the things. And it's just a matter of just being like, no, I know that God has me here and this is why, and this is what I'm doing. And usually that why is deeper than just your Isagenix business. There's a mission that's so much deeper and set in you that as soon as you unlock that, nobody can mess with you because your belief is completely unstoppable. But that's that journey. That's that place that you got to find. That's where you got to dig deep into and really recognize it. And then tell a leader for accountability, and then go for it. So, I believe in Isagenix. That's what I can tell you guys. I believe in network marketing as a vehicle through Isagenix. I've seen it work. I've seen it work with thousands of people. And whatever it is that you want to do, you can do. You just got to do the work. And that work looks a little bit different for everybody. But as long as you're willing to do the work, as long as you're willing to fail, as long as you're willing to mess up, and willing to make like a silly, I was going to say ass. I don't know if I can say ass of yourself every once in a while, but you stay consistent because consistency is the key in this business. And, even if you just have to just put some daring posts out there and just be a little bit more braver every single day, you'll start believing it.
Awesome. Ooh. Thanks for your authenticity on that. I got goosebumps like 3 times. And from myself and many of our team who have come from other companies, we also just are so thankful for Isagenix. And the mission is great. So we have a question from Lisa Oliver about what type of wording do you use to create an event on Facebook? Do you have any tips on how to create also a good sip and sample? I think those are 2 different questions.
Okay, so how to create a good sip and sample and what type of wording do you use? Look at your market, look at your people who want to come to an event and call it whatever you want to call it. I feel like we can be so creative with events because people want to come to events. They want to do something fun. Let them know it's going to be short because they don't want to be at your house all night long. I mean, maybe they do, but a lot of people just don't want to leave their family for too long. So, I remember when I used to do, my kids are older now, so I don't do this as much anymore, but I would do popsicles and nutrition. And so we'd have the kids in the backyard and they would play and they would have popsicles. And I'd set up those little like pools and they could swim. And then I would just talk to the moms about the opportunity. I kept it casual. I always kept it no pressure to buy. I mean, just whatever you enjoy doing, just create an event around that and then just be very upfront and say, I am going to talk to you guys about the business opportunity or I'm going to talk to you about the nutrition opportunity. I just talk about the business opportunity anymore. Who am I kidding? Like people just need to put the shakes in their mouth. They just need to drink them. Like I can't even bother with that anymore. Like why would you not take Isagenix? It doesn't make sense to me. But then just say, I'm going to talk to you guys about the business opportunity and type of wording I create the event on Facebook. I just make it sound like it's going to be a whole lot of fun and invite everybody. And I think it's not, when you make just a Facebook post, it's not as personal. So, I mean, I might make a Facebook post, but I'm on the phone, I'm leaving a message. I'm saying, I would really love to see you there. It would mean a lot to me. Maybe a voice note through something, but I'm so much more of like an intimate person. I would rather have 2 people at my sip and sample that I could just like really talk to than like a big old, 20 people show up and I don't get to speak to everybody. So.
That's awesome. Great questions and great answers. Thanks for your insight on that. And we're right about at the 45-minute mark. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, Kelley. Have you guys gotten some amazing content? I have pages of notes. Yes, I see thumbs up. I see claps going on. Kelley, your content is exceptional. Your success is amazing. We are so grateful for your time tonight. Thank you to everyone for tuning in here live or on recording. This will be posted later by Hilari. And Kelley, any final words of wisdom? You've already given us so much just to encourage everyone and in recognition and community.
Yeah, just be bold with what you guys are putting out there. Just be brave. And if it feels a little uncomfortable, like that might be the adrenaline you need to just like push like send or push go on something and just, pour massive belief into your team. When you believe in them, they will feel unstoppable. And if I can remember one thing that Janny did for me, that's the lady who signed me up on the airplane, and she's an Isogetics millionaire if you guys don't know her, but she poured so much belief into me. And I believe if you're pouring belief into your team and pouring belief into people, and that's on an intimate level, they will become unstoppable, because all we need is someone to believe in us, and then we will just keep on going. So thank you so much for letting me come on here today, you guys. Keep shining bright. I hope I get to see some of you guys maybe at UIA this weekend. It's going to be an incredible event. And if not, I'm sure New Year's kickoff will touch base. But thank you.
Thank you, Kelley. Appreciate it so much. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being on.